The Crumbling Kingdom. The year was 2497. The kingdom of Constantine, once ravaged by the catastrophic fall of the Halen meteor, had risen from the ashes. Now, almost 5 centuries later, it stood as a powerful nation. But with that power came oppression. The once hopeful land had become a kingdom where nobles ruled with an iron fist, crushing any who dared to resist. Taxes for protection from the ever-encroaching beasts had risen to unimaginable levels. 40% of all harvests, crops, livestock, labor, were taken by the nobles, leaving little to the people. Whole villages had been driven to poverty. Those unable to pay were cast out into the wilderness, left to face the monsters roaming the plains. Many others, unable to pay, were enslaved to work off their debts, branded and bound forever to the whims of their masters. Born of ash and poverty. In one such village, Thalso, where people were struggling to survive, there lived a boy named Zane. At 15, nearing 16, Zane was skinny and malnourished, his body worn down by a harsh life. Yet despite his gaunt frame, he had a quiet strength in him, a tall, lean figure that suggested inner strength and unwillingness to accept his fate. His brown hair, now matted with dirt, framed his pale face, while his emerald eyes burned with the remnants of a defiant spirit. His childhood had been a nightmare, and yet the fire in his gaze showed he hadn't given up. Zane's parents had been banished from the safety of the walls when they could no longer pay the taxes. They perished, torn apart by magical beasts in the wilderness, leaving him to fend for himself. Though he was young, Zane understood what the world was like, cruel, merciless, and unforgiving, but he had always been determined to survive. Shelter under strain. Zane found shelter with Uncle Dorian, a good-hearted man who had been a friend to his father. Though Dorian too was struggling under the weight of the high taxes, he took Zane in and offered him a place to stay until he reached the age of 16 and could awaken his talent. The day before his birthday, Zane worked tirelessly, making sure he could help Dorian pay the exorbitant taxes. He knew every coin, every ounce of food mattered. The day was long and grueling, but Zane pushed through it, never once complaining. That night, after finishing his chores, Zane collapsed in the barn, sinking into the straw on the floor. Exhausted, he drifted into sleep. But in the dead of night, a strange sensation jolted him awake. His ears rang as if the world itself were calling out to him. Dying. The awakening. Ring. Congratulations, you have awakened. Call out status to view your talent. Zane's eyes shot open, his heart racing. What was happening? His breath came in sharp gasps as he leapt from the hay, staring wide-eyed at the swirling text that materialized before him. It hovered in the air like a strange, ethereal window, its words bright and surreal. Name, Zane, age 16 level, 10% stat strength 1, agility 2, vitality 1, magic 3, luck 0, stat points 0, talent, hunger, skills none. Zane blinked, his heart sinking as he read the words. Hunger? What kind of talent was that? What use was it to anyone? You will always feel hunger. That was the entire description. Hunger, curse in disguise. Zane stared at the text, utterly dumbfounded. Always feel hunger? What was the point of that? Wasn't a talent supposed to give him power, something useful? Desperation clawed at him as he slumped against the barn wall, the weight of hopelessness bearing down on his shoulders. What can I do with this? Hunger, he muttered to himself. How is this supposed to help me survive? How will I even eat? As the morning sun crept over the horizon, Zane heard footsteps outside. Uncle Dorian entered the barn, his eyes searching for Zane. The older man's face was worn and tired, his brow furrowed with concern. So, how did it go? Dorian asked, his voice low but hopeful. Did you awaken your talent? Zane, still in shock, looked up at him. His voice was weak as he answered, I did, but I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. Dorian, his expression turning serious. What do you mean? Betrayal at dawn. The talent is hunger, Zane said slowly, and it's just what it sounds like. I feel hungry all the time. Uncle Dorian's face fell, and before Zane could react, the older man's anger flared. His face twisted in frustration. You ungrateful little brat, Dorian roared. After everything I've done for you, fed you, sheltered you, you repay me with this? This is what I get for helping you? Before Zane could protest, Dorian grabbed him by the collar and shoved him against the wall of the barn. The rage in his eyes burned bright, a mixture of helplessness and fury. "Get out! I don't want to see you again," Dorian spat. "You're a burden. At least you could have repaid me for my help, but this—" Shocked and heartbroken, Zane stumbled back, trying to gather his bearings. His benefactor, who had taken him in when he had nowhere else to go, had turned on him, alone and starving. The weight of his situation pressed down on him, but deep within something began to shift. Is this it? He wondered. Am I really just meant to suffer? The boy turned and fled, stumbling through the village in a daze. His stomach churned with hunger, and the strange sensation gnawed at him relentlessly, as though his body was being consumed from the inside out. Suddenly, his vision blurred, and a wave of weakness swept over him. The hunger grew unbearable, an intense pressure in his gut that felt like he hadn't eaten for days. His legs gave out beneath him, and he collapsed in a narrow alleyway, everything going black. The hooded stranger. Hours later, Zane awoke to the sound of soft footsteps approaching. When he opened his eyes, a hooded figure stood over him, her face hidden beneath the cloak's shadow. She crouched down, her voice gentle, but with an air of mystery. "Do you want a chance for a better future?" the woman asked, her voice calm but commanding. "I can offer you power. Power that most people from the outer layer could never dream of." Zane's mind spun. Who was this woman? What did she mean? And then, as if to answer his unspoken thoughts, a strange voice echoed in his mind. "Ring quest arrived. Quest rank SSS rank kill a monster. Objective. You must kill a monster of higher level than you by 5 levels in 24 hours. Reward, upgrading talent to a growth-type talent. A fire reigniting." Zane's breath hitched. Was this real? Was this some twisted joke? As he looked up at the mysterious woman, he found that she had vanished, leaving only the echo of her words. With a determined fire in his chest, Zane rose to his feet, wiping the dust from his pants. He had no choice now. He needed to survive. He needed to prove to himself that he was worth something. This was his chance. With newfound resolve, Zane set off toward the Adventurers Guild. His fate was no longer in the hands of those who'd cast him aside. The road ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Zane was going to change his destiny. And with the hunger talent driving him, he would find a way to survive, no matter what it took. The world of Kira was cruel, but Zane had a fire within him that wouldn't be extinguished.